And they are in so many ways so much more advanced than we are, because they know how to be present. They know how to be empathetic. They know how to live in gratitude. Any animal that has been rescued, I have worked with them in the sanctuaries. They are so grateful. They are so incredibly grateful. And we as humans, we have so many reasons to be grateful for, and we are not. We can learn gratitude from them as well. So I set on a mission to actually share the word, because I believe it is important. All of the animals have something to teach us, not just the ones that we have at home, but all the animals.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
My guest today is author and podcast host Stephanie Stephan, whose book, The Path to Unconditional Love, Lessons in Heart-Centered Living from Our Animal Teachers, invites us into a very personal journey of grief, healing, and awakening through the animals who have walked beside her. Through her show Purrs, Pause, and Tweets with Love, Stephanie holds space for stories that honor the transformative bond between humans and animals, from household companions to wild beings and those in sanctuary and rescue. In this episode, we'll talk about the animals that changed the course of Stephanie's life, the spiritual lessons they carry about presence, frequency, and unconditional love, and how we can weave those lessons into the very practical, sometimes overwhelming work of caring for and advocating for animals. So whether you're running a sanctuary, fostering animals, or simply sharing your relationships and your home with a beloved companion, this conversation will help you see your animals and your own heart in a new light. Stephanie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I am so happy to be here with you.
As am I. You describe animals as our teachers in your book. Can you share one of the earliest animal teachers in your life and how they showed up and taught you about being truly present?
Yes, absolutely. My dog Spikey, for example, he obviously is a rescue. And one of the things that I learned immediately as soon as he came into our house was he just looked so directly into my soul that I just felt so visible and so exposed. It's like, you see me, you see through me completely. And that was, I believe, the start of our relationship, to understand more of, what do you know? What do you see? How can I learn more from you? And he has taught me so much in these years that we've been together. He's already 15. And presence, empathy, self-love. Have you ever seen that bumper sticker that says, I wish to be the human that my dog thinks I am?
Yes.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Animals show us that we really are that human. We just need to unlearn a lot of the things that we have acquired through our years of life, that are things that we do not need to have, thoughts, beliefs, values that we do not need to have, and just go back to our natural state like we were a kid. Because that purity of heart, that innocence, that presence, it's a power. It's actually a power that we still have within us, and we have just set it aside because as adults we believe we need to be busy, we need to be thinking, we need to be overthinking everything. That's not true. Animals are teaching us presence is more important. So that was, I believe, Spikey's first lesson for me was presence, empathy, and self-love.
Beautiful. So I know you've written this beautiful book, The Path to Unconditional Love. What were the impetus behind deciding I needed to write a book?
I am a very busy person. To write a book was quite the commitment. I have to admit, I did not know how much I loved animals until I sat down and basically set aside everything about my social life, and everything was dedicated to them. And the reason was, first of all, was a calling. I believe this is a time when we all need to understand how important it is to love ourselves so that we can also love others. And nobody can teach us better to do that than animals. They are unconditionally loving all the time. They are already there. They don't even think about it. They just are. So decided, okay, this is the right time. I've followed my calling and pair that up with commitment, diligence, and discipline, and sat down and I got it done because I love them and their voice needs to be heard. And we all share their voices in different ways. My way of sharing their voice was they are more than just another creature. They are teachers. They hold so much wisdom. That unconditional love is not to be taken for granted or is not something to be dismissed, is a real power. And they are in so many ways so much more advanced than we are because they know how to be present. They know how to be empathetic. They know how to live in gratitude. Any animal that has been rescued, I have worked with them in the sanctuaries. They are so grateful. They are so incredibly grateful. And we as humans, we have so many reasons to be grateful for, and we are not. We can learn gratitude from them as well. So I set on a mission to actually share the word because I believe it is important. All of the animals have something to teach us, not just the ones that we have at home, but all the animals. And yes, I created the book, and the podcast is their voice in their language. That's why it's called Purrs, Barks, and Tweets, because it's really them talking through me, honestly. I'm just sharing their stories.
So many of the animals that we encounter have gone through trauma, at the hands of humans. And yet, in most cases, as you said, they're so forgiving and grateful and they live in the moment. I'm wondering if you have any techniques that you've learned or approaches toward healing that animals just seem to know innately that humans could perhaps learn and heal themselves, because as you said so beautifully, when we heal ourselves, then we have an opportunity to notice these animals and pick up on the everyday being in the moments that they provide so beautifully.
Yes, yes. And thank you for all the work that you do, because this is beautiful. I believe that we need to have more people like you in the world. And hopefully with the words in my book, what I would like to do, my intent is that most of us who are not familiar with how special animals are can shift our perspective and understand we're not doing them a favor. It's like this is their right. We have to see them as equals, not as, oh, I am going to be good towards this other being. No, it's more like look at them as equals. They have the same right to live. They have the same right to thrive, and they're teaching us in addition to all of that. So hopefully, if we have a better understanding of how incredible they are, we will not have to have so much need of protection, because we will instinctively know that they are here to be just like humans are, loved, safe, and protected and respected and honored at all times. So hopefully that is the message from the book at the end, is to understand them from that perspective. But to answer your question, what can they teach us about healing? Because they go through trauma and they are able to rebound from that, and they are resilient, and they show us how to get over that. That is really the power of love. One of the things that presence does for us is takes us away from our past and allows us to be in the present moment, not reliving, rethinking, and going over and over again the things that have already occurred, that are over, that already happened. They already happened, yes, but also other good things did happen as well, and they are done. They are in the past. So the animals are able to stay in the present. So they're not anxious about the future. They're not depressed about the past. If we can follow their lead and stay present more in the moment, we can be more in our hearts and feel and experience life through all of our senses. Smell the roses, like you would say, right? Mm-hmm. Or slow down our pace. We can walk slowly and appreciate everything around us. Those moments, we are not thinking about our trauma. That's what presence is about. Because the more we can experience what is around us, the less we are thinking in our mind what happened in the past. And that's what we can learn from the animals.
Is that what you call heart-centered living?
That is correct. Yes. Yes. And if we can just replicate and emulate how they love, are they putting any conditions on us that I'm going to love you only if you bring me a treat? No. Am I going to love you only if you do this for me? No. They just love us just because we're there. We are there with them. We are sharing our presence with them. And they are so grateful just for the fact that we are there. It doesn't require us to do anything. It's just the fact that we are. If we can do that with ourselves and we can do that with others, it will be fantastic. It will be a complete shift of perspective for most of us. We can do that. We were doing it when we were kids. Somewhere down the line, we were taught to be different. But when we were kids, we were so in the moment. We did not care about time. We did not even know what that was. And that's what animals do. All of them. They are in the moment. They are present. And yeah, it is. I cannot say there's anybody that spends time with animals and comes back angry, depressed, or upset. I've never seen that. I've never seen it. Animals, they can transmit that peace, balance, and joy. They can transmit that without even using words. Just being. So, and they all exude some sort of a different type of frequency. Like if I am meditating with Helen the bison that was there at the Lighthouse Sanctuary, which was amazing because, this big creature, and I'm sitting right next to her, and she's just calm and sweet and adorable, and I'm just sitting next to her, trying not to be intimidated by her size, right? The energy that she's sending to me is not just peace, but also strength. Just the powerful presence of her body, just being right next to me. She's already transferring that kind of stance of power. And when I walk away, I'm feeling calm, relaxed, balanced, but also powerful. So she's sending that to me. It's an exchange of energy, and it's just wonderful. So every animal has their own signature that they exchange with us if we only allow them, and if we only have and show them respect and honor them. So I really hope that we can all see animals the way that we see them, right?
Can you share us like a story from your book where somebody was able to heal or, work through some grief or a big emotion that an animal helped them understand that we often just forget about?
Yes. I think I'm going to tell a story about how an animal got over a really traumatic situation. And then we can take that as a lesson for us. I was coming to another sanctuary that I go to in Newburgh, and that day they introduced to us this new member that came because the mother was on the way to the slaughterhouse, and they realized that she was pregnant. And I'm so happy that the person who is not vegan made the choice to save the baby. I'm just happy. Okay. It could have been two casualties. It was one. Not that one was not already tragic, but I'm saying it was one, not two. So this little baby came and had not really had a real birth, right? It was just brought out of the body of the mom and brought into the sanctuary because the person felt, oh my God, let's rescue this baby. So at that moment, I could only see the baby just crying and crying with tears, right? I'm talking tears. And the emotion of what happened in that traumatic situation, that baby had it all in their body. It was just the trauma was there, encapsulated in the physical form. And we all were so attentive and caring and affectionate towards this baby. We're making sure that she knew it's a female, that she knew that she was going to be from now on safe, protected, and loved. That's we wanted to transmit that message to her and let her know it happened. Yes, horrible, absolutely. But from now on, you will see no horrors here. We will make sure of that. And she made it. And her name is Charlotte. And she is a very, very happy cow. She's already an adult. She's got her own pasture in there. And we go visit her and, of course, take care of her and clean up all the things we need to clean up. But most important of all, we go and help her feel all that love that she never received from her mom. She's getting it from humans. And she is happy. And that is such a great example of how we can actually heal from anything when we are surrounded by love. And we as humans, if we are surrounded by the animals, we already are receiving that amount of love as it is, because it's so unconditional. They can heal us just by being with us. And so I would say that's a beautiful story of something that was horrible that turned out well, but that is also a lesson for us to understand. We can do the same with ourselves if we just allow our hearts to be open.
That's why we think sanctuaries are so important, Stephanie, because we as humans need to heal. And the only way that we're going to do this with the animals is to actually be with them in a circumstance that is where they are living naturally and without stress and without harm. So it's a healing circle, if you will. It's good for them, but it's also good for us as humans. That's beautiful.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now, back to the show.
If you are just joining us, we are having a conversation with Stephanie Stephan, and this is Better Life for Animals. Stephanie, you also host a podcast, Purrs, Barks, and Tweets with Love. That is such a great name. What inspired you to create the show, and how does it extend or deepen the themes of your work and your book?
Yes, I believe that many people think about animals just as, oh, the pets that they have at home and then everybody else, right? I believe that there is a really big distinction there. I want to break down that barrier. I want to, with these stories, I'm talking about a different animal every single week and sharing how every single one of them, regardless if they are in our home or not, everyone is special. Every one of them is teaching us something. And how can we learn more from them? so that we can be ourselves better human beings. And the idea behind the podcast was not only to highlight a different animal each week, but also to bring my book to the masses. Those of us who are too busy to actually sit down and read, we can still gather the lessons from the animals through the podcast. And that was my intent behind it.
Yeah, some people are more audio, aren't they? And as we're so busy, we can travel and still listen to podcasts. I know I love podcasts for that reason as well. For people who feel a strong bond to animals, but that they're unsure how to listen more deeply, can you maybe give us an example of, how you can, a concrete way to like tune into their messages that animals are offering all the time if we just are open to it?
Yes. I do teach classes on this, by the way, and it is not as complicated as one may think. It may not be something that we're familiar with, but the difference between communication with humans is that we rely so heavily on words. With animals, we just need to shut down our thoughts and just allow them to speak to our hearts, because it is more of a feeling, a sensation, an urge. And sometimes we even get images of what they really want. I have an example to share, and it's that simple. It's really that simple. It only requires practice, because as I said, we have to get used to not using words. That's all I'm saying. And I was in a trip, and this story is, I believe, is in my book. I was away, and the person who was taking care of Spikey was letting me know he's not eating. I'm worried. And when I left, he was eating, so I did not know what might have happened. At that moment, I was across the pond, and this is the beauty of communication with animals. You don't need to worry about where you are. It does not matter. The bond is always there. And so I went and I went into meditation. As I said, the first thing we need to do is not think about words. I just went into meditation to quiet my mind, to be in a relaxed state, to be in a loving space where I'm just remembering how much I love my pet, not in a worried, concerned, oh my God, what's happening with my dog, right? It will be, that's not going to help. Where I need to be is in a calm, balanced, relaxed, loving state, which I can do with music. I can do with walking in nature for a few minutes. I can do by just remembering how much I love him. I can do that too. There's multiple ways of just calming the mind. We can do that, right? And calming the mind, just be in a relaxed state, and then closing my eyes so that I don't have any distractions. I am not thinking, I'm not processing my environment, just closing my eyes. Just 80% of the distractions are shut down when we close our eyes, so we can go within. And then I ask the question in my mind, Spikey, why are you not eating? What's happening? Would you please be able to tell me? And without using words, just the feeling of inquiry is what I shared with him, just a sense of inquiry and curiosity. And the first thing that came into my mind was me purchasing a bone at the farmer's market that I brought home for him to gnaw on. And after that, nothing else, no more images. I got the complete understanding that the bone had broken one of his teeth, and he was in pain, and as a result, he was not eating. Of course, that all came from him. I had no idea. I just went on the trip. This bone I gave that bone to him a couple of weeks before I had gone on the trip. It was not recent. It had not just happened just before I left. It was weeks before. So it was not in my mind. It was not something that I was thinking about. And of course, he had not had any tooth fractures before. So this was not something that came from my thoughts. This was literally coming from him. So I called the vet, and I made the appointment to make sure that we will get that taken care of. And I told my friend to please give him any anything that was bland so that he didn't have to really chew and use the tooth. And that way he will be okay until we got that taken care of. And when I went to the vet to say, I need to make sure that you check his teeth because I believe he's got a fractured tooth. Sure enough, she did confirm, yes, he does have one and he's going to have to get extracted. So that came from him. And all I need to do was calm my mind, be relaxed, be in a loving space, not use words, just heart to heart conversation, which we already do when we have animals in our home because we're constantly receiving signals and we are always in tune with their needs and desires, and they're not using words, but we are taking care of them because they are communicating and we are listening without even paying attention.
And like meditation, Stephanie, these skills, they get better with practice. Is that not true? It seems, first somebody might try it one day and say, well, it's not working. But you have to devote yourself to a practice of grounding yourself, calming yourself, listening. And over time, the messages come. And I think, I know for myself, there were times in my life where I might have got a message, but I might have ignored it or not believed it or negated it. Like, what was that? But what I'm hearing from you, Stephanie, is listen and trust that those messages that they're coming from the relationship, and to trust them and go with them. I think is that also, I believe you're also a Reiki master. Is that part of that practice of?
Yes. Yes, as a Reiki master, energy healer, animal energy healing practitioner. Basically, what I do is I have 4 different kinds of Reiki on me. So I learned the traditional one where we put your hands on the person. Reiki was intended for humans, by the way. Okay,
Interesting.
So I specifically dedicated myself to animals because of my love to animals, but this was initiated as a practice for humans. Okay, so the traditional one teaches you to use your hands as healing hands. So you place your hands on different parts of the body of a person to rebalance and recalibrate their divine essence, their energy, their chi. And then I also studied the one that is Shelter Animal Reiki Association Reiki. That one, Sarah, that one is hands off. Because for the animals, you're not going to impose your hands on them unless they want your physical touch. So you exude the energy, you project your energy towards them versus placing your hands and use your hands as the healing power. You use your entire body to actually just create a field of loving energy that they can bathe in, basically. So this is very, very common. Everybody understands that if you are in the presence of somebody who is angry, and you're like, let's say you're just sitting next to somebody who is angry that is not even talking to you. They're just sitting right next to you. And you can just feel that energy coming towards you like it is an attack on your senses. You feel their anger. You feel uncomfortable. You're starting to feel like uneasy. You just want to get out of there. You don't feel good. That person hasn't even spoken to you. That person has not touched you, but their presence, you can feel their presence. You can feel it and you don't want it. Well, if we do the exact opposite of that, we can also feel it. We can be in a loving presence. We can sit next to somebody who's not even saying a word, but we can actually just feel calm and relaxed as soon as we just spend like 5 minutes right next to this person. Not even a conversation, not a word, just a presence. Well, that's what Reiki does with animals. We just sit with them, and we can just do it remotely too, by the way. All we need to do is just focus on them. And just like I did with my dog from across the pond, distance doesn't really matter. Really does not matter. You can just exude that kind of loving feeling and they sense that and they like it and they come towards you. And some of them, they want to be touched. And so they will come and nudge you, and they just nudge you on your elbow or your leg. They want you to actually place your hands on them, and then you can do that. But if they don't do that, if they don't request it, it's not for an animal energy healing practitioner to go and just, "Oh, I'm going to put my hands on you," and that animal has gone through trauma, and that might be a trigger. I don't want to. We don't do that. It's called respect. Is respect them as sovereign beings that they are. So that's Sarah is the second Reiki, and I also have Dragon Reiki. I have another two kinds of Reiki that I learned that gathers energy from the earth, because there is a misconception that dragons are evil creatures that needed to be killed. That's not true. They are actually guardians of the land. They're guardians of the earth. They're guardians of the water. And when we work with them, as angels that they are, they're super powerful, and we can draw energy from them so that we can transmit that energy towards the animals as well, and give them power, give them strength, give them the resilience. It is all a transmission. It's not Stephanie's energy. It's actually, I'm just a conduit, and I'm working with the energy from above, the energy from the earth, the energy from all the angels around, and just transmitting that into the animals, so that it's a whole congregation of benevolent beings that are all working towards, let's recalibrate and help the animal be in a better emotional, mental, and physical space.
I had a big lesson on this topic. We've rescued many dogs, and I've had a lot of success. And I just assumed that it would always be that way. And our most recent dog was very shut down, and her name is Sophie, and she wouldn't come out of the corner for a couple of days. And it was quite troublesome. My husband, who has a much more calming, he's just a calmer human, expects nothing of Sophie. She took to him, so that was good. And it took a while, but I was taking a class about this very topic, about learning to ground yourself, calm yourself, be in their space so that you can communicate with them. And I was just in the class. I wasn't feeling like I was mastering it or anything, but I got out of the class. I went into my husband's office where Sophie was. I sat on his chair. I wasn't even looking at Sophie. And I started to tell my husband about my experience and what I had just learned. And we're talking weeks that Sophie has not wanted me. She tolerated me, we'll put it that way. Here I am sitting there in this space, talking to my husband about what I just experienced in this very calm feeling at the moment. And Sophie comes right up to me and puts her head on and her paw on my leg. It was the first time, and it was like, okay, this was evidence that these teachings work, that this is exactly, I needed to calm down, let her be, and if I were open to her messages, they're available, but not until.
Yes, absolutely. That's a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with me. I love how animals, that was a lesson right there. Mm-hmm. And the lesson was to respect their boundaries and also to acknowledge their sovereignty. And the moment that you did, then she had the freedom to come and choose to be with you. That's the beauty of it. And one of the things with Reiki is we learn to not have expectations. That is one of the most important things. I was walking, and this is a depending on where your perspective is, could sound sad or maybe happy. It depends. I was walking with my dog just this month. This happened maybe a couple of weeks ago. And a deer got hit on the road just outside of where I live, just a few, couple of blocks from my house. And something about people being busy, they just are desensitized to the suffering of others. And so this person had brought cones to some street workers from another area. It was not from this particular location, but from another area, had stopped and put some cones to make sure that at least the animal would pass without being hit again. But it was still alive. And I attached my dog to a hydrant, and then I went in the middle of the road and I did Reiki on this deer, surrounded by cars, protected by angels. I admit it was from all intents and purposes, it might sound extremely reckless that I am unprotected, I have no shield, and I am in the middle of the road with this deer, right? But what happens in those moments, I just wanted to offer for him, if he wanted, at least company in those last moments of life, so that this beautiful being can go to a blissful place without being alone. And yes, he was suffering, and yes, he was in extreme pain. With Reiki, I had actually the power to actually do something about it, where other people may not know what to do. I had the peace and the understanding that I didn't have to expect I was going to heal or save him. All I was doing was just to allow him to transition in a more peaceful way. That I was able to do. And that in itself, for me as an animal lover, was huge, because I am happy that I could actually give him that moment of peace. I'm not thinking, oh, I didn't save him, so it's a sad day. I'm not looking at it from that perspective. I can actually bring myself to a different perspective and say, I allowed him, or I helped him transition and not be alone, so that he didn't have to be scared. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, if in my last day, I don't want to die alone. I would like somebody to be by my side lovingly, and they don't need to say anything, but at least I know that I have company, and feel like, okay, I can let go and transition. So I did that. And yeah, I think is just the beautiful feeling of having the ability to do that for animals is just incredible. So when you were working with Sophie, and you acknowledge, I can let go of my expectations, and she responded to that by coming to you, that's absolutely beautiful, because she was showing you, yes, I am a sovereign being, I have my choice, and thank you for respecting it. And now that you have, I'm here with you.
Yes, exactly. Well, Stephanie, I'm so happy to have had this conversation with you. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we have to go? And please let us know how we can find you and how we can sign up for some of your great programs.
Thank you. Yes, I believe that Purrs, Barks, and Tweets with Love podcast is the best way to find the information to get a hold of me. That I have my website that is in there. I will also be posting all of the upcoming classes that I have. There's one in May that I will be doing with Kumara Academy, and it's online. So if anybody would like to learn a little bit more about energy healing and animal communication, I'll do that in there. But the podcast is the right place to find me, and you can always find my book as well.
Excellent. This has been Stephanie Stephan, and I'm Cheryl Moss. And today, if you have enjoyed our talk, I hope you will like and subscribe so that we can create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.